and this is The In Show. And I'm your host, Gus Summers. Good to be back with you today. That's right, we are broadcasting live from our in-show studios on the Sunset Strip in the entertainment capital of the world, Hollywood. And we have a couple great in-studio guests. We have Mr. Louie Sabatasso and Mr. James O'Brien. Gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, Gus.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedules. You're out there promoting your films and just living the Hollywood life. So how's it feel, being in the glamour of Hollywood?
It's
We
great.
got about 10% glamour going on this one.
Yeah.
We're trying to up the percentage.
Trying to up our glamour quota at this point, but it's great. It's great.
It's got just enough glamour to survive, get through the day.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I always start when I could be thinking of 20 other things that are very different that I could be doing right now besides being in Hollywood.
Like what? What's number one on the non-radio personality list?
What's number one? Well, of course, I'd be like an international playboy, jet setter.
That'd be good.
That'd
That'd be good.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle, living in the sky. I'd met once this wonderful gentleman. I had him on the show, and he had basically it was because of him who he was able to help free Nelson Mandela, and he owns his own jet. And he told me, "Well, I basically live in the sky. I just fly place to place."
Yeah.
And I go,
It's like the guy. It's like the character in the in Contact. The guy
He's just a
literally,
disembodied voice
literally
now.
just lives in the sky. I don't know. I think I'd want to do. I've been watching a lot
For
of
tax purposes.
yeah, that's right.
I've been watching a lot of House of Cards.
Yes.
If I was not in Hollywood, I would definitely want to be in Washington.
Really?
Just weird, like as a lobbyist or something.
Oh, behind the scenes
So
Washington guy.
great. Such a great, sick place.
Because I know you.
Put that Machiavellian style to use.
That's right. That's right. All the manipulation. I know you guys love film. You ever see that movie, Suspect?
Yes, of course.
Right when you said that, it reminded me of Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
He was the
Yeah.
lobbyist.
Yeah.
You guys are big movie buffs. Are there? I always want to say top five films that stand out in your minds.
Well, I know James and I, the films that we both really love is, I think, All That Jazz.
Nice.
Wow.
Rob
I just finished reading
Schneider.
that biography of Fosse.
Nice. Bob Fosse. Yes.
He's quite an incredible character.
And what a great, amazing movie.
It was, the 5 steps of coping and whatever. It's amazing. I love the ending scene. If you're going to go out, that's the way you want to go out.
Yeah.
With the
He said he
big.
felt embarrassed afterwards that he was still alive.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm still hanging around
That's
after
still
crafting
here.
my own death. Jesus.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The only guy to win an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony in the same year.
That's beautiful.
I think
Really?
nobody's going to do that again.
Yeah, that's
Think
amazing.
about that hat trick.
Emmy and a Tony
All in the same year.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Awesome. That's
So
amazing.
you guys both like that one. How about you, Louis? What film stands out in your mind?
I mean, that's a spectacular one. I love, I'm very sort of course I love The Godfather and
Nice.
Cuckoo's Nest.
You
Brilliant.
told me the movie you'd go to sleep to every night during a phase was Apocalypse Now. Right?
Well, there's the Apocalypse Now is just kind of a go-to. I love Apocalypse Now. I love The Deer Hunter. I mean, the 70s was just such an epic, amazing time for
Yeah.
film. But post-70s, I mean, there's films like, I loved Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think that's just an
Nice.
amazing,
Jim
amazing
Carrey?
film. And I thought by far it was Jim Carrey's.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Carrey, and to me, it's one of the best performances I've seen.
Yeah.
Period, because it's like I got so uncomfortable just for him, and if you can make an audience member uncomfortable because you're uncomfortable, that's
Right.
awesome.
Yes.
It's like
That's Charlie
home run.
Kaufman. He's one of the best writers out
Yeah,
there.
but also Jim Carrey's performance in that I thought was amazing. And speaking of performances, I loved Fargo as a film.
Nice.
The Big Lebowski, of course, which
All
was
right.
done right after Fargo. The Big Lebowski has become such a great.
You can just listen to The Big Lebowski. You don't have to even watch
Yeah,
it.
you just have it on the
You
background.
literally can just listen to it, and it's just amazing. So there's a bunch of, a bunch of those.
Yeah, a good bunch. How
Lawrence
about you?
Arabia stands out in my mind.
Nice.
Just
Come
for
on.
the scope of it and the performance by O'Toole, I think is one of
Yeah.
the great performances of all time.
Yeah, I think O'Toole is just one of those brilliant actors. just
City of
stands
God,
out.
style-wise, I love. That's an incredible flick. You seen that, Lou?
Yeah, it's amazing. Brazilian.
Yeah, it's just hard to
Yeah.
believe they were able to recreate that with non-actors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
So,
that's
well, let me ask you, since we're talking about films, is there a film in particular that really put you on the road that you're on now? You saw a film and said,
Yeah,
man, I
the
wanna be
indie
in a
road
movie.
for sure. When I was graduating college, Providence College, they were screening Slacker had just come out.
is that right?
All that promotion behind this is a $20,000 movie.
Right.
And I already had my ticket to LA. I was moving to LA when I finished school, so I was like, this guy just made a movie for $20,000. I can raise $20,000.
Right.
I've been doing films in school on my own, so it seemed a lot more reachable,
Right.
I was like, I'll come out to Hollywood, try to sell a script, but if that doesn't happen, I'm going to make my own, so.
Nice.
There was a movie called, and it was remade. I don't want to criticize, but there was a film with Charles Grodin and Sybil Shepherd. I know you've probably seen it, called The Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah.
Done in like '72.
Yeah, you bet.
And I was homesick from school one day. It was like whenever, and it came on. This is when TV, like, you got once a year, you got the movie on, and I watched it, and then I told my dad's like, yeah, it's one of the great comedies of all time, and to me it was the funniest. It was absolute funny, like him coming back up to the hotel room and making up the stories, and I mean, it was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And that was the first time in my mind I was like, this is a movie I want to remake. Like, this movie would be, and
Right.
that, and ironically enough, another movie that was remade when I was a kid, Arthur, the original Arthur with
Oh,
Dudley
beautiful. Come
Moore.
on. That was a wonderful
I used to
film.
watch Arthur like repetitively, and also Trading Places just repetitively, and these were like, it's like, this is what I want to do. Like, this
Yes.
is,
I see a little bit of the Arthur influence in Saltpeter.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Louis plays, in the Western that we did, Western Religion, Louis plays this ambiguously sexual dandy, morphine addict, straight killer. Like, a lot of contradictions, incredibly colorful.
I think he's a pansexual, we decided.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll just have sex with everything.
We want to rule anything out.
Yeah, he doesn't want to rule anything out. He's I think what he's really is, he's just completely addicted to pleasure.
Yes.
Like, just doesn't care
Pure
where the
hedonist.
pleasure comes from and where, yeah, James said, James and I were on another job, and he said I said, we got to do something else, because we had done Wish You Were Here, which is a road movie, a couple years before, and he said, I want to do a Western, it's going to be called Western Religion, and gave me sort of the bare, like, card game, and they want to raise, awareness for this town, so they have this card game that attacks all these card sharks, and each one is sort of and kind of a B undertone of the whole thing, was each one is a devotee of a different religion. And he had that, and I was like, well, he said, I was like, Western, like, I never thought of myself as doing a Western, I didn't really, and I said, all right, I want to do it, but I kind of just described the most out-of-the-box weird character that I could imagine in a Western,
Right.
and it was that day, and we said, like, sexually ambiguous, dandy from Vienna, or I said dandy from somewhere else, and he came up with from Vienna, and yeah, dandy from Vienna, he's a drug addict, a hedonistic drug addict, and then I said, yeah, I want his name to be Saltpeter, and Saltpeter, of course, was something they used to give patients, and they used to give it to people so
Right.
they wouldn't want to have sex.
Right.
And this was, of course, after this guy would have
From
been
One
named.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's
From One
Nest.
Flew Over the, I just got it from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right.
You might be giving me saltpeter.
We were actually working, the job we were working was actually a demolition job.
Yeah.
So in between, like, swinging the sledgehammer, we just kept riffing on this movie we were going to do.
Yeah.
Like, we were on a chain gang, like, we're going to do this movie someday.
Yeah, and we just, but it like literally 6 months later, we were on day one of shooting.
It was 8 months. We set,
8
like,
months.
a time. We were like,
Yeah.
October 21st, we're doing the movie no matter what. Like,
Nice.
No matter what's going to happen in our lives, we're doing the film then. So we just
So-
based it off that timeline. And
Right. So yeah, I mean, since we're exploring the film, the character, was it a composite of characters that you've seen, characters that you read? Because what you're describing this character, and just what you're saying reminds me of Guy Pearce and The Count of Monte Cristo.
yeah. Well, certainly we thought of Val Kilmer in Tombstone.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
At first, the first initial one was he'll be sort of like Doc Holliday, and
Okay.
of course you think of the best Doc Holliday, which is Val Kilmer, and it was weird.
Although Quaid's Holiday was pretty good in a
Quaid's
completely
Holiday was
different way.
great too. They're both great, but he and So the dialogue was almost written sort of for that, and then we were trying to find. James and I were trying to find like the voice of this guy, like how is this guy gonna, like how it's gonna be, and I was doing it with voice notes, because I'm out here and James is at the beach, and I would send him a voice note of it. He's like, it sounds a little bit like it's like, is it 2 Doc Holiday? Like, what are we doing? And finally he said, you mentioned a combination of characters. He said, I want you to think of a young Marlon Brando and Truman Capote and combine them. And tried that, and he hung up. And I was like,
Young, like on the waterfront, young,
Yeah,
or
like
in the wild. Wild
He had a really unusual voice for a star.
Yeah.
He had an
Marlon Brando, yeah, he
extremely
had
quirky
that
voice,
little
you know?
boy. Yeah,
So
then-
he was very masculine presence, but his voice was
His voice was almost
quirky and feminine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did it. I just combined them pretty quickly in my head and went back with them. I'm like, this is so strange. This is not gonna be it. But maybe we'll find it through this. And I sent him one voice note. He goes, that's it. That's the voice. And it was just, and then I had to do a table read with that voice for the entirety of the table read. And it was just like, but everybody really seemed to enjoy it.
Right.
But it still seemed, and it's starting a character like that with a voice is a different sort of way of,
Right.
of doing something.
So now I'm curious. Now the voice. How's the
It
voice?
was
Is it
very, I don't even remember.
very quiet?
It was Truman Capote-esque, but with Brando.
and nice.
And
Nice.
it just got you into this really weird sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was good, and it's a great. I knew that it would be a fun thing to talk about later on, just how we came up with it.
Because I loved it because as you were discussing, that reminded me of the reels that they show of Brando for The Godfather, and he put the cotton, and
Yeah,
he was
he
trying to get into that. So it's honing it.
Because he saw the character as a bulldog,
Right.
And he wanted it to have the bulldog jowls, which is why he put the.
That was probably the most successful screen test ever, because they were completely adamantly against him being in the movie.
Right.
No way it's going to happen. They saw that, they were like, okay, he's in.
He's the part. And I love that he had to screen test for it. Shows you how hot that property was.
Yeah.
Well, he was a persona non grata for
Yeah,
being
for
very
many
demanding in films for a while when he
Oh,
had
yeah.
the brass ring.
Yeah.
He's kind of on the outs with Hollywood.
And then when he got the Oscar for that film and had
Yeah, she had her walk up
had her
there.
walk up, that was when they were like, all right, Heisman.
See you later. And then Superman comes along and they pay him
And
$1
then
million
Superman
bucks.
comes in, and they gave at the time $2 million
Yeah.
to be
For 7 minutes or
for the
something like
7
that.
minutes on
yeah.
screen, which was astronomical then. I remember that. That was
Yeah,
He had a good
Richard-
agent.
Yeah, he did. That was a great. Imagine the negotiations in that.
he was still Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he was. Even in the later years, doing like Juan DeMarco.
Score.
Yeah, he was still very. He had that presence to him.
Yeah, he's pretty special.
Is he one of your favorites? Because,
Sure,
because you brought up Brandon Capote. That's kind of a
All the
unique.
actors from the generation after acknowledged him as
One
as
of the greats.
groundbreaking talent.
I think him and James Dean. For me, it was maybe more James Dean.
James and
but James Dean's
Giant.
right,
Come on,
it's the
James
same.
and Giant was beautiful.
They were both similar. They both came from the same, and they're
Yeah.
both that same. Like they're
Right.
not talking like this. They're not like let's go to the car. They're not.
Right.
They
Yeah,
completely.
Giant did show that he was going to have range for other characters.
Yeah. I mean, he was what 24 when he did Giant.
And they died right after.
Yeah, then think about when he was the old man sitting in the
Yeah.
in the hotel. So he
Sometimes
was-
dying's the best move for longevity.
It was also very. It was like the only other one who really pulled that off at that time was Orson Welles when he was 26 when he did Citizen Kane, and that's almost the last third of that movie. He's an old man.
yeah, he was brilliant.
He's like a 20, and so it was. But I think, and also I was talking to somebody the other day about James Cagney as well. I think Cagney was almost a little bit before them, and he was he was almost the bridge to that acting style.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I
Because
loved him.
Cagney was a different kind of weird.
Yeah, he was.
He was
Like White Heat. Remember White Heat? Look, Mom, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like, come on, that's
he
it.
was, Cagney was amazing,
And then what I loved about him, then he went to go do Yankee Doodle Dandy.
and
And
that's
he
what he
sing-
got the Oscar for, right? As a song and dance
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Just like Charles Durning for Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Yeah.
He gets his Oscar for singing a little song.
For singing the song, yeah.
And then Peter O'Toole gets nothing. Gets a, come on, really? Anyways.
It's not about the awards. The
Yeah.
film. The film is what lasts.
Yeah. I mean, brilliant acting. I mean, when as you, like for this film or any film, James, do you start from a blank slate, or do you kind of like get inspired, or different times? Oh, I would like to do a western in this kind of,
Sometimes you talk yourself into it. You just keep saying, I'm going to do a Western. The idea's going to come to me eventually. I'm gonna do a Western, and then one day it does come.
Yeah.
And then other times you just have to grind it out, just sit down. Like
Labor.
if you get hired to do something, you're not feeling inspired, just sit down, grind it out, write a few pages every day, and it happens.
And then
A
all
couple
of a
months later,
sudden,
there's a script there. You know?
It's that old Carnegie laws of success that you're sort of talking about. The weird Carnegie thing of that you keep telling yourself you're going to do it until you believe it, and then the path will come to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
like
did
I'm going
that
to do a
for
Western.
this,
We're going to do a Western. We're going to do a Western. We're going to do a Western, and eventually it's going to come what the Western's going to be. And
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, nice. And tell me more about the development. So you worked on the voice, the character. How about the other characters?
Well, it was, even though it's an indie film, we really wanted to be ambitious with it.
Yeah.
And the road movie we did, Wish You Were Here, it was ambitious because we were driving across the country in an RV, finding locations as we went along. But that was a very small movie in terms of the cast. So I wanted to write a really large cast, like an Altman movie with all these different characters coming and going. I think there's like 60 characters total in the movie, but 15 main characters.
Right.
So that was a big part of it, you know, finding all these different archetypes to have them bounce off each other.
Yeah.
With the subtext you talked about, with different philosophies, religions represented.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, James is he's such a creative master as far as coming up with, you know, a really amazing premise like that, and these
Right.
characters and stuff that he developed were just a lot of fun. And in the movie, and it's, you know, it has its darkness too. There's a dark, kind of really cool dark element to it that's not,
Yeah.
you know, it's a different sort of element than the traditional.
Well, the twist on it is that they're playing for a gold cross. The town founders are trying to turn this tent city into the next San Francisco, and they think they're playing for the gold cross, but when they get there, it comes to pass they're playing for their souls.
Okay.
So there's sort of a supernatural element that creeps into
Oh,
it
nice.
gradually, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's slowly it's revealed. So hence why all the different religions.
Yes.
Nice.
And the antagonist in the film is definitely, you know,
Anton Stice,
Anton Stice.
played by Claude Duhamel,
Yeah.
a great Canadian actor that we got literally 1 week before the shoot. It's like we couldn't pull the trigger on who was going to be the villain in this. It was such an important part.
Yeah.
We had seen some people. Some people did well on the readings. I even had the phone in my hand one day to call one of the guys that came very close. I was like, "Oh, wait, one more day." It was like a week before the show, and then that night I got a tape from Claude, and it was him.
Yeah, you kept calling me and saying, "Should we pull the trigger on this guy?" I was like, "Why? We have a week. Let's wait. It's gonna come. We might as well wait. What is 3 more days gonna do at this point?" Like, we knew, and then Cloud came and we did we read him
At your place,
at my place, right by the pool at that table, and it was just, you know, we knew it. He was great.
And
That was
he crushed it. He was fantastic.
He was good. It was a lot of fun. It was fun. The thing was, it was very it was difficult. It was difficult.
The shoot was difficult, or
Well, everything
the
was
process?
difficult. I mean, it's like you're doing an indie film with that sort of scope and in that amount of time, which we didn't, you know, it was short. We didn't have a lot of time.
Well, one of the things that made it difficult, we were going to be shooting at the Paramount Ranch, which is a
Okay.
national park.
Yeah.
That was all planned out, so we were good to go as far as our sets went. And then there was a government closure of the national parks just a few weeks before the film. So
Right.
we decided with Pete Shireko, who is a guy famous in the Western world. He did all the period detail for Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought him in to build our own sets.
Nice.
So just a week before the shoot, we started building our sets in Agua Dulce,
Did you really?
this mountainous sort of remote region,
Yeah.
as a tent city. So, as the film started, our sets weren't even there. We had just started building. So we shot around it until it was ready. So that definitely put a twist on the production, but it lent itself really to the feel of the movie. I wouldn't have wanted to do it any other way now that we did it like that.
Yeah, it worked out. It definitely worked out. It was it ended up being really cool and had a really definite even more of an indie feel maybe
For sure.
than it would have had we done it at Paramount Ranch.
Yeah.
And Mr. Shireko let us know that was really actually far more historically accurate to the era. Like the Western town you see was really created by Hollywood.
Right.
It wasn't really how things were back in the 1870s.
Right.
And the tent city was actually far more legitimate.
Right. Yeah, it has to be aesthetically pleasing for Hollywood, but reality
Exactly.
doesn't always fit
Yeah.
that.
So that part. So that was great.
So do you think that helped, like you were saying, to help the shoot? How did Louis? How did it influence you, knowing you had to move out? How did it affect your character? How did it affect you, and in turn affect your character, or did it? Your
You mean
performance.
how we had to do what?
Yeah, since the park was closed and you had to go somewhere else.
Well, it affected me more because I was also a producer on the film. James and I were producing partners. So as a producer on the film, it affected me greatly. It affected as far as the stress level and dealing with that. But as far as the only, listen. James is the writer, director, and producer of this film. So once we got on set, James is in director mode and doing that as he has to be, and I'm still in producer mode and doing stuff that I had to do as the producer in that. So that was all really stressful and hard. And the only moments of peace and true fun that I was having was when I had the saltpeter costume on and the makeup, and I was in the scene doing saltpeter. Like, those were the moments that it was great. To the point where when I wasn't, I was really upset. Like, James, why am I not in this movie more? And James is thinking it's because of like a threatened ego thing. It's literally because that was the time when I was having the most fun and the most dialed in.
Yes.
It's like in the costume, with the makeup, in the scene, like, I could have, so
Right.
that was, but you have to learn to do it. It's like, it's like, if I'm an actor first, but if I'm producing this stuff with James as well and doing this stuff, I have to learn to do both. I have to learn to,
Yes.
to be able to do,
Switch hats.
to switch hats in mid,
You're right.
a friend of ours, Gary,
Yeah.
Gary Douglas Cohn, who also did Wish You Were Here with us. He's done that a few times, so he can act and then pull, but so he was also sort of he was a co-producer, but really fulfilling the position of line producer and also set building. And he would literally take his wardrobe off, flip the hat off, grab a hammer, and go build a set. And he was fine with it and could totally.
Yeah.
And,
He flipped the switch
and I
like
would
that.
watch him do it, and I envied that so much because I couldn't.
Right.
It was so difficult for me to do that. Maybe as we go through this process
Yeah.
and do more films, it'll become easier. But I struggled with that a little bit on this
Yeah.
one. And
Gary played a character called Saint John, who is the one character who's already given up his soul in the movie. But he's a preacher now. He's trying to kind of redeem himself. But he used to be a bank robber
Right.
of ill repute, and so he was really able to switch gears. But no one can tell that you weren't able to do it too. So it was probably just an internal struggle.
No, I was able to switch gears into saltpeter pretty effortlessly, but when I had to take
felt more
off
of
the
the weight on your
saltpeter
shoulders
and then
with
I
the
had to do
producing
it's like, because there's a lot of stuff going on in base camp, and as a producer, there's a lot of stuff going on in the production trailer and going on with other actors and going on with this and this person that I'm not going to bring to James, who's on set trying to shoot a movie. And I'm not going to let anybody else bring it to James. So I'm dealing with that and absorbing a lot of those blows so that they don't make it up there.
Right.
And that's the part that it's nothing. This is small. This isn't a huge. None of this was dramatic and difficult stuff to deal with. But maybe because I hadn't done it in that capacity completely before, it felt difficult at times.
Right. Well, let me ask you, in your acting style, because I know some actors have to be, in their character and let nothing else influence them.
Yeah.
So are you a method actor, or do you need that space? As you were talking about, Jim Carrey reminded me of Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
Andy Kaufman, he had to be the actor. Andy Kaufman, that's all he was.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything else. Is that kind of, for you have to, let me just act. That's why you felt free?
No, because my whole style, it's very easy for me to slip into the character and just be there and do it and not have to be in it 24 hours a day.
Right.
And I think it comes from, my approach to acting and all of this stuff is definitely based on my own, and I guess it is a form of method, but it's all completely based on my own experiences and stuff that I've gone through in my life, which is vast, incredible dark stuff and incredible light, beautiful stuff. But and it's not that I have to consciously get in a character and I'm thinking about this, I have to get into this. It's easy for me to just slip into it knowing the context of what I'm doing. And
But it was quite a bit different than Wish You Were Here.
it's way different. It was
Wish You Were Here was very much based on Louis' life, at least the character he was playing.
yeah.
And so that was just such an easy go-to for you.
Yeah.
And then you were doing this completely over-the-top character and with a weird voice and Western religion.
It was, and there'd be a lot of times when James would be like, you know, more Capote, more Brando, more this.
So it was just
like,
a dial and a turn.
He would dial and turn it and do it, and it was definitely way more challenging in a way than Wish You Were Here. But Wish You Were Here was also challenging. It's not easy to play yourself in a movie or play.
No,
There's
I'm sure it's
nothing easy
not.
about that. In fact, there was times when Wish You Were Here felt a lot more difficult than
More revealing.
yeah, because this was such a character and such a weird, you know, thing that I could, not that he was, I mean, you know, there was some direct parallels between Saltpeter and myself, but
Well, hopefully the French will like you.
Yeah.
We're taking the film to Cannes this year.
Oh,
so
are you?
yeah, we're
hopefully it'll go over with the French.
Nice.
our world premiere is on May 16th at the Palais.
At the Palais, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Which will be
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, nice.
And, yeah.
Fantastic. You should, you know, now one of you should have thrown a little French accent in there.
Yeah.
You could have been from Louisiana or something.
Johnny got that one already.
Yeah. It's been yeah, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic. How about you, James? Yeah, how was your approach? You know, was it, you know, with all those hats and
I mean, it was
everything?
great. It was like a feeling of time travel, basically, because we were living like the kind of world they were building. It felt like we were back there. I mean, there was no sign of civilization where we were other than our trailers.
Right.
We had the horses. And that was one of the great things. The night before, when our sets weren't built, and I realized like 50 people were coming tomorrow to shoot this film, and we had no sets. Nobody really knew it. I just went for a walk, and I ended up at this long walk. Like, what are we going to do? Should I call the movie off? I ended up at this stable with the horses in this stable near a guy's house, just kind of debating what was going to happen. And this guy comes out of the darkness in his old like cowboy pajamas. It must have been his horses. I was thinking, he's like, "Can I help you, sir?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm up at this, you know, plot of land, a couple acres up there, doing this movie." And he's like, "I'm your wrangler on the movie." He's like, "Kevin McNiven." He introduced himself. He's like, "These are your horses."
Nice.
I was just sharing a moment with these horses. I'm like, "Wow, these are our horses. We have horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have horses.
We can make a movie. We have horses.
Yeah.
The horses are the set."
I mean, listen, the good thing is the one thing that James and I have definitely share is we both have a almost childlike, almost infant-like faith that things are just going to work out.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have everything that we needed when we started this film, and everybody else would have been, pull the plug. It's not going to happen. And we're both like, what are you talking about? It's going to happen. It's going to happen because we said it's going to happen. We have faith. The universe is with us. God, but we both share that exact same thing. So it got us through. It definitely got us through this movie.
So that was more of a realistic story. I thought you were going to say the horses started talking to you. It's mind melding with the horse.
Horses have those deep eyes, man. It's like looking into the ocean or something.
Yeah, they are.
They share something with you about you can't put it into words.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, instantly. I mean, you can instantly feel that either they're repulsed by you or accepting. They're amazing animals.
Yeah, we all got to ride them at least once on the show.
Yeah, I wrote
That was an upside.
Yeah.
There was a lot of moments on this film where we looked around like, wow, this is amazing. Like, we're making this is a really great, you know.
Yeah.
We really had great wranglers too. That was Kevin McNiven and Ardeshir Radipur. We were talking about American Sniper before.
Yeah.
He did some stunts in that film. He
Fantastic.
was reporting back on how incredible that was.
Right.
But those guys, we had two wranglers that could do everything. You know, they could jump on the horse as it was riding, fall off of it. We used them every day. Almost in every shot, they were somewhere in the shot. You know?
Nice. Nice.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It seems like it was there was a bigger experience as you guys are talking, you know, to the film. There was, you know, something a little more meaningful for each of you. You know, was it just
There's a spiritual side to the film that comes out in it. I mean, like we said, there's the dark element, you know, but without giving anything away.
Right.
You
You know,
there's a spiritual upside in the movie.
what made you go that way? You know, versus, you know, land. You know, someone was trying to grab their land, or, you know, what have you, and, you know.
What, bring in the supernatural?
Yeah.
You just steer where the film wants to go when you're writing it. You know, I mean, I came up with the characters. I wasn't sure where it was going to go.
Right.
but the characters start telling you what they want to say, and they sort of lead you in the direction of the film. And this one character comes in, Anton Stice,
Yeah.
Claude Duhamel, and I just realized that this guy's going to be more than just a villain.
Right.
He's going to be in touch with the other side somehow.
Yeah. Did you vacillate back and forth of taking it that way, and you're kind of bringing it back towards
I did think, should this just be a traditional Western?
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what we were making.
Right.
But I just couldn't help it, I wanted to bring something else in. And I'm glad we did.
And you've always, James is like the film, one of the films, at least one of the two films that we'll probably do now is a fantasy film. James always wanted to do a fantasy film.
Nice.
He's definitely with that, whole weird fantasy, not weird, but,
fantasy sci-fi or fantasy
we've
like
got
elves
two
and
movies
stuff?
on deck that me and Louie are going to do as a producing team. The fantasy movie called Warrior Mage Thief, which we're developing for virtual reality technology.
Nice.
And then a noir detective film called The Backward Path.
Nice.
That we've brought. I wrote the script, but we brought in another writer, Tony Herbert,
Mm-hmm.
to co-write it, who's a fantastic talent. He's got a film called Snakes and Ladders that's going into production with Don Murphy. So I think we'll be able to do something pretty special with that film.
and that'll probably be the next one.
But I won't be directing that one. I'll take the directing hat off for that one.
Yeah.
and be starring in it to be.
I'll be a producing helper on that.
Oh, I gotcha.
I'm going to direct the fantasy movie.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do what I can to make Backward Path a great film. Whether Tony Herbert directs it or we'll see what happens, but
I think Tony Herbert's going to direct it, but yeah, and I will be doing back to my acting producer role.
Okay. On both of those, or
Yeah,
he's going to play a lounge singer in hell. basically.
Nice.
playing a lounge singer in hell, which will be fun. It would be another
a Vegas lounge singer.
Saltpeter-esque, probably. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the character yet, but I imagine that's what it will be.
Nice. No, let me ask you. Let me ask you first about that noir film. Noir style, black and white, or just in that?
Since I'm not directing, I can't say. I know how I wrote it, but
Right.
it's up to the director to really steer that vision. But it'll certainly be faithful to the noir elements, but with a modern look.
I think what we're talking about is it will be very. It's obviously going to be a film it's a contemporary film that's taking place now, but
Right.
it'll definitely have a film noir, and to the point of a lot of the wardrobe might be reflective of that. A
Right.
lot of the speech patterns might
Certainly,
be
it was
reflective
written.
of
The
that.
language was written to be that.
The language was already written to be that, and Tony wants to keep it that way and even take it farther into
Nice.
that, and really
With the voiceover and everything.
really embrace those.
Well, the main character is always talking into a voice recorder, so that has a voice element to it.
Yeah.
He's talking to himself all the
Nice.
time.
I don't know why that dame came here.
It's weird stuff
Right.
like that, and of course he's a drug addict, and there's some other stuff going on that's pretty amazing and pretty
Nice.
dark and great. So,
Yeah.
as long as it stays dark and awesome, I'm on board. I like it.
Because instantly, my mind goes Robert Mitchum.
Yeah.
He's just the iconic, New York guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be good, and gearing up to go to Cannes, and
Beautiful. Taking this one there. Yeah, nice. Let me ask you about Western religion. Are either one of you are you big readers of religions? Things that influenced
I'm a big fan of
culture.
philosophy reading or metaphysics.
Nice.
Not so much
Religion
organized
itself.
religion.
Yeah.
Organized religion is similar to politics to me, but I'm not against it or for it, but
Right.
I'm more
Yeah.
interested in the metaphysical side.
Yeah. Right.
I enjoy. Obviously, like Albert Khalil Gibran's The Prophet.
Yeah.
It's an amazing book. And
Yeah.
The Alchemist, of course. Like that's as much spiritual reading as I'll actually do. I think most of I don't think most of my sort of spiritual understanding and my spiritual connection is just based on experience and kind of a personal thing. And
Right.
I definitely not somebody who wants to go. Listen, my mom's Catholic, and I can go to church on Christmas and Easter, and I can embrace it. Like, all these people are here for a really great reason, and even getting with the,
The flow of it, and whatever.
yeah, and the whole ceremony of it seems really kind of cool to me, and Catholicism's, to me, like the one religions that's depicted in films like Moonstruck, and which actually has like a sexy kind of cool element to it. But it's
Jesus had great abs.
Yeah, Jesus had great abs. So it's
He was a carpenter, so he had some guns on him.
But I definitely for myself, I don't want to have to go to some one particular place or one particular person or one particular to get.
I don't want to be part of any group that would have me as a member.
Have me for member. Old Groucho Marx joke, later originated by Woody Allen. But I just to have to go to some one specific place to get a spiritual connection, I don't know, seems a little strange to me. But that's what people do it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you obviously you guys are well read. There are so many things that are out there unexplained. Has anything happened to you like that you just can't explain?
Explain it to who? You can explain it to myself.
Yeah, well, no, to other people. It's something supernatural, because your film deals with supernatural.
Dreaming is kind of interesting. If you've ever experienced that, have you ever experienced that?
I have. I've experienced a lot of real sort of God shot moments, a lot of them, but none that I can really specify right now on the air. But
right.
I've had.
Did God have you sign a non-disclosure agreement?
God had me sign a non-disclosure.
Don't talk about this, Louie.
I'm not allowed to talk about it. Yeah.
It's between me and you.
This is between us, Louie.
Yeah, this is between us. But I've definitely had moments like that. Some pretty great ones. Some pretty obvious ones for me, like in a way that's like something that I couldn't miss.
Yeah, but something unexplained, something that's you feel was just for you, or if someone else is there, they would have experienced it as well.
I don't think that I don't necessarily. That's a weird. See, I don't know. I don't know that I believe that there's some, something out there like just communicating with me specifically. I think that's borders on severe narcissism. I don't know that that's the case or not. I don't know. I try not to give it that much thought. Right. I know that things happen. Yeah. Situations have happened in my life that were like maybe some sort of something that just let me know that everything was okay, and I felt some guidance. Nice. And I knew that everything was going to be, and it's a feeling. I've had some really dark, hopeless moments, and I've had some moments of very intense hope. So those are two very different things, obviously.
Right. Right. I mean, for myself, I know that I do believe that, because you always hear the woman's intuition, or when you talk to a police officer, I feel it in my gut. It's that gut feeling. But men get that. I'm not going to go that way, or I don't trust that. So
it's some kind of communication with our higher self.
Yeah, because I think I think things do manifest.
You look very prophet-like us, if I may say so. Yeah. I wish we met you before. We were saying coming in. Yeah. You would have fit right into the saloon.
Yeah, well, that's nice of you. Remember your next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy film.
That'd be awesome. A wizard, Gandalf. Yeah. Gandalf type. I'll bring my own staff. What is that? It's a walking stick. It's talking about fantasy. Were there fantasy movies that you guys loved? Because I remember in the 80s, there's one great movie. You guys remember this one? Remember The Last Starfighter?
Yeah.
You remember that movie? Yeah. Oh, you got to see that. Oh.
Is it a fantasy or sci-fi?
It's both. Yeah, it's both. Dan O'Hillery plays Grill. Remember the reptilian?
Yeah.
He's a great actor. You probably remember him from RoboCop. He was the executive. He was the older guy, not Ronnie Cox. He was the other guy. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
But great film.
Yeah.
I love some of those 80 films because they were just on the verge of campy, but they were produced wonderfully.
Getting the camp element just right is so key.
Well, Princess Bride perfected that.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That took camp to just the perfect.
Yeah, but that was going for the comedy angle.
Yeah, so. but
Look, the right amount of Manny Patinkin was perfect. I get you, fiend. Were there some fantasy films that really stood out for you at any point? Like Close Encounters was a great film. Remember that? Close Encounters
is amazing.
Yeah.
Again, sci-fi and fantasy are, although they do meld sometimes quite nicely, but.
Yeah.
I liked Willow, Labyrinth.
Labyrinth was great.
Obviously, Lord of the Rings did some special things. More the first one.
Yeah.
I like the first one of that series a lot.
Yeah, that was a great one. Labyrinth was great. That was Jennifer
Dragon
Connelly.
Slayer.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, yeah.
she was like 14 or something. David Bowie.
David Bowie.
He was awesome.
Such
I
a
love that.
classic
Everything I do.
Still, maybe
I do
for my money,
you.
one of the most stunning women.
Who's that?
Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
She still looks
so,
great.
so beautiful.
Yeah, she was there's a, I love to see, like actresses as they mature in the roles that they play. There was one where she did with Ben Kingsley. Remember, the house was taken. Yeah, was that it? Yes, was that it?
The House of Sam and Fog, was that?
I'm just guessing.
Or is that? Oh, I think that, and something like that. Just you see her. I remember her in Lambert, and here she is. Opposite Ben Kingsley, and wonderful things.
She's a talent.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about you? We're talking about actresses. Were there actresses that you would love to work with, or actors? We should throw actors in there.
So many that I want to work with.
Anybody that can make it to the top of the game in Hollywood and to where you know their name,
Yeah.
Is a
It's
talent.
not there by accident.
Is a talent. Yeah, it's not. You don't
I mean, as cynical as you might want to be about certain things, and people, I've learned to just realize that everybody is, that people are, and I've also, as I get older, the notion of being highly critical of anybody's art just doesn't make sense to me anymore.
Yeah.
Like anybody's approach to acting or anybody's performance or anything. It's like, so in that regard, there's just, I mean, obviously all the ones that
I mean, if you're asking for wish lists, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis would be.
Nice. Yeah.
Maybe Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda. I haven't seen her. Come on, I'm like one of the 5 people that love The Point of No Return. I thought that was a great movie.
Yeah, it was good. It was a Nikita type of.
Yeah, exactly
not Nikita,
right.
but what's the other one? The Femme Fatale.
Yeah.
It was a Femme Fatale remake. It was
Had Gabriel Byrne in it, for Pete's sake.
What?
La Femme Nikita.
La Femme. There was also.
Yeah, French
It was a
version.
remake of La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, La Femme Nikita. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I definitely. There's a lot of directors I think I would love to. Of course, a lot of the directors I want to work with are starting to get a little old now, though. So I don't know.
Well, Eastwood proves that there's no.
Yeah, there's no age
But
right
like
there.
Eastwood and Woody Allen's not old, but
Yeah, right.
He's mature.
he's mature. Woody, and then so many actors. Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis, and I mean, to me, maybe the greatest actor I've ever seen, like pound for pound, certainly performance for performance, is Meryl Streep. I mean, she's just like, she does things that male or female I've never seen anybody else be able to consistently do. And Javier Bardem is amazing, and there's a lot of younger ones. Like I think Ryan Gosling's great. I think Brad Pitt's great. I think there's so many fun, amazing, and all the great TV stuff they're doing now, like House of Cards and.
Yeah.
I'm 4 episodes into season 3. In the last 2 days, I've watched 2 episodes, and then a half an episode we just watched.
Yeah. I remember Kevin Spacey from Wise Guy.
I remember Kevin Spacey from a film that he did with Kevin Kline, I think, where he played, where they're gonna swap wives.
Yeah, I remember that. That was Joan Allen and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, and they were gonna swap wives.
Film.
They were all really young, and they're gonna swap wives, and then he kills.
Yeah.
And then makes it look like and it was just this way. And he was probably 32 years old or something.
Yeah, I remember that film.
And
It'll hit me
it was
later.
Kevin Spacey. It was like maybe in the late 80s or very early 90s. And but he's just there's so many. There's not. I mean.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, what kind of genre would you want to stay in if you had a choice, or would you just
I want to do one of everything.
Really?
Except maybe romantic comedy. I might let others handle that.
Romantic comedy is one of my favorite genres.
Yeah.
I'll admit that I
Fantasy
enjoy a good
next.
romantic comedy.
I love romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell me, name a couple that you dig.
Like by name 5.
I've already named one of my all-time favorites, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
That qualifies as romantic comedy?
Totally
No
romantic
way.
comedy. It's a
Dark
quirky romantic
comedy.
comedy. It's like,
Romantic
that's totally romantic.
I think he's thinking more
That's like a
Meg Ryan,
mind-bending
Tom
movie.
Hanks type stuff, right? Is that what
I
you're
also
thinking?
loved Harry Met Sally.
Oh, God. Sleepless in
I
Seattle.
I love Sleepless in Seattle. But
You
can't
Got
get more
Mail.
wrong than that. I'm all corny. I love that. I mean, come on, when they're both in Statue of Liberty at the end, it's amazing. But I'm
Even though they ripped that off from another film.
of course, but they talked about it the entire time.
Yeah, I know,
They ripped it off
exactly.
from the other
That's
film.
why, yeah.
That's why they got away with it. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm just as optimistic. I'm as optimistic as I am in doing these little projects and getting to the end as I am that I'm eventually going to fall madly in love with somebody and have a child.
Nice.
So those kind of films speak to that. Like,
and if you don't, we'll write it into a movie.
Yeah, but I love
after.
that. Like, I'm the dude that cries at those movies. Like,
Nice.
I love that stuff. I like all that stuff. I like The Notebook, for God's sakes. I mean, you know.
I'll admit that I watched Notebook too, but it's because I was flipping channels. I go, hey, it's James Gardner.
Yeah,
and it's Gina Rowland. Let me see, what is this?
Well, didn't you have a show called Getting Gooey with Louie? That does kind of make sense.
When I was in high school, I had a TV production class, and we created a TV show. So it was a talk show called Getting Gooey with Louie, and it was this talk show. And I used to interview celebrities unbeknownst to them, because I would just take clips of them and then come back to me and like be in a similar suit. And the greatest one I did was the Lakers had just won the championship, and I was like 13 years old, and I was pretending like I was interviewing Magic Johnson, right? And it cut to like there was a shot of Magic where it just had his torso and a reporter, and you couldn't see the top of the reporter. So I would just cut to that, and then come back to me, and then cut to that. It was pretty great. It was fun. But that was
nice. Well, what a good friend that he would remember that. I knew exactly what he had.
Writers don't forget anything. Anything you say.
No, he does.
It's going to come out somewhere.
He remembers everything. Like, literally, like I told him a story one time. I've had a tumultuous, dark history of, you know, substance abuse and stuff, and when I first met James, he was really intrigued by a lot of it, and I just told him this one really epic story that happened to me over a couple months, where I was homeless in this Gucci suit, and I told him the story, and there was nothing directly from that story in Wish You Were Here, which is a movie we did a few months later, but just to give him the tone of that character and what it was, and he gave me the script for Wish You Were Here, and I opened the script and I read like the first couple of his, and the very first page was this guy comes out of rehab at dawn on the beach in Venice, and walks and stops at the ocean and sits down for a little bit, looks around, and then strips down all of his clothes down to his boxers and jumps in the ocean. Like, that was my character, and I was like, dude, that's it. Like, if I haven't done that coming out of rehab, I thought about it. Like, that's like he got it based on me telling him that story, because he has zero experience as far as that goes, and substance abuse in that regard. Zero experience as far as abusing, you know what I'm saying? Not zero experience in, you know,
I didn't inhale.
Experimentation. He's got some experimentation. But it's like, but he got it. And I was like, and I remember calling Gary, like, dude got it. Like, he got it. When you read this, he so got what that character was just based on that story. So he does, and he brings up stuff to me, like, occasionally I'll want to, like, you know, like, oh, what about boom, 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 and just listing the list of stuff. I'm like, why the hell did I tell him all that?
Great.
Big mistake.
Now I'm fodder for all his material.
No, but it's amazing. And James is so, as most great writers, and, you know, James is also the guy that just comes up with amazing terms. Like, when we were doing Wish You Were Here, there was this guy that came on, that was one of the crew. His name was Tim Mooney, and he went by Mooney, right? And he would he was like this really sort of, you know, like almost like an accountant, like really sort of conservative guy, like very soft-spoken, until 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock p.m. every night, he would just, the cigarettes would come out, and he would just get all crazy. And James was like, oh, it's the dark side of the Mooney. And he came up with dark side of the Mooney like that. And it was just like these brilliant little like things that James comes up with that are just, you know, that he just churns out.
That's great.
Amazing.
Were there any of those in the film?
Oh,
Little catchphrases like that?
Nothing jumps into my head right away, but when you make a movie, you in the editing room, you hear it, you see it over and over and over and over and over again. Then it just becomes another language to you. Like, you wind up constantly quoting it to the people you worked with as a joke, like as a goofy kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of fodder for Western religion on that.
It's you know, so James is really good as far as that stuff goes. I want to make a Snapchat video for all your listeners. Do your listeners know about Snapchat?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do a
Snap.
Snapchat.
Okay.
Okay, we're doing an interview here.
Gus Summers.
It's Gus Summers,
In
myself,
show.
James O'Brien, talking a little Western religion.
Nice.
LSAP 33.
Nice.
And snapped it.
Snap Dad.
Myself.
Yeah, there it
I'm sure
is.
the listeners love hearing this social media stuff in the background.
Why do
That's
they?
right.
Everybody loves social media.
Oh yeah, you bet.
If
Now
you
they, now
don't,
they,
you
now they
have
can
to.
find us on Snapchat.
That's right. Nice.
LSAB33.
Right.
Yeah, well, I was going
And like us on Facebook and Twitter, and follow us on Twitter.
Nice. I was just going to say that for a few minutes, but might as well. Perfect. You .com, anything like that for the
We don't have
film?
a website yet.
Okay.
No, we
I don't know
have.
if we will.
We don't. I don't know if we have.
Facebook?
We have the Twitter account, which is
At WR_the film.
at WR_underscore, right?
Underscore.
And then the film.
Under Axl Rose.
Under Axl Rose, the film. And then there's at Sabatasso Louie, which is SABATASSOLOUIE. And then your
At
Twitter,
Rev James.
At Rev James 13.
No, just Rev James.
Oh, just at Rev James.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we know. You remember the Reverend James reference?
No, I
Come
don't.
on.
I'm trying
Reverend
to.
Jim? You, with your look, you don't know Reverend Jim?
No. It's
Well, it's Reverend Jim.
Taxi.
Oh, that's right.
Reverend what?
Yeah, Reverend Jim.
At first, I thought you said Reb Gems. Oh, Reb. What's
yeah.
Reb Gem? I was going to ask you.
Rebel.
Then my mind went blank. I failed. That's a great movie. Do you consider that like one of the top 10 films?
What,
Taxi Driver? Yeah.
Oh, Taxi Driver.
Yeah, Taxi
We were talking
Driver.
about Taxi, the
I was talking about the
TV
Taxi,
show.
the TV show.
Oh, Taxi.
Christopher
Oh,
Boyd,
you're
he
talking
played
about
Reverend Jim. Yeah.
Reverend Jim.
So his reference, his thing is
It's
not
Rev
where you got it?
That was a great. That's a great film.
Taxi.
No, it came from when I was working at a resort as a waiter, and my waiting style was very. I didn't like to talk. I just like to swoop up to the table and go.
Just
We had
because.
these bets, with the
How
waiters,
could you do it?
how could you say let's see how few words you can say to the table. So it'd be like start off saying 20 words to the table. And I got it down to where I didn't say a single word for the whole meal. I just came in and just went. Took the whole order, everything through the entire meal without saying anything. They were like, Reverend,
That's
you're
amazing.
like a reverend the way you.
That's
Oh,
great.
that's
That's
awesome.
great. And
I was thinking he was talking about the Christopher Lloyd character.
Oh,
That's
okay.
partially that too. That's tied into it.
Who one of the great scenes ever on a television sitcom is when he goes to the DMV.
No, come on. I was just going to bring that up.
When he goes to the
Slow
DMV,
down.
it's like it's his first character when they made him a series regular. Is
Yeah.
that character? And he goes to the DMV and he's taking the test, and they're like over here. He's like, okay. He's like, what does a yellow light mean? Slow down. Okay. What does? And they were supposed to do it like once.
You're right.
He kept
doing
going
it.
and kept doing it slower and slower, and it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was beautiful. There's a scene that I never forgot too. That one. And when you see him in college and he first tries.
Yeah, and he goes, I could be one of those people.
I could be. Oh, okay.
He goes into,
He goes right into it. Come on, Jim. Nothing is going to happen to you. No.
and when they're asking him before he does the what does yellow light mean? They're saying what's her name? Elaine Nardo is giving him the question. She says, all right, now. She goes, any drug or alcohol abuse? He goes, oh, that's a tough choice.
Those are great.
It was so great, that character.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I remember Tony Danza. I'm trying to remember the actor that played his dad. Do you remember? He's still around. He's on The Closer. He still does a lot of work. But anyways, he looks like he's much older. He was only like 2 or 3 years older than Tony Danza. I'm trying to remember his name. Do you remember? He was the actor would come in every couple times a year. Yeah, he looked just like Tony Danza, except he had white hair and spoke like Tony Danza. But they were only a couple years apart. But great film, anyways. I'll remember the name later. But we're down to the last couple minutes. So we already did the social media site. So for the film, it's going to be premiering. You said pretty soon.
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Saturday, May 16th at 8:30 p.m. at the Palais.
Nice.
First time we're showing it to anyone.
Oh, really? Outside of
Other than like
room.
test screenings you do to help create the film. But
Yeah.
Which we did at the beginning, but we haven't done one of those in
Yeah.
a minute either. So
Oh,
it'll be
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
It'll be good to see it with an audience and under sort of the umbrella of the can, and
Yeah.
it'll be
we're trying to get a lot of our actors to come out for the show.
Nice.
They're setting it up.
yeah, and then we'll hopefully it'll be available to the public to see hopefully some by the end of the summer.
And we just signed today, actually, with Automatic Entertainment to rep the film, so...
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
we got a lot of faith in those guys, so they're going to kick some butt.
You got to stick with the faith with these small indie films.
You do.
A lot of faith. You put it out there, and we know that eventually it's gonna, just like we knew that we were gonna start shooting on October 21st, and we knew that we were gonna finish it, and we knew we were gonna get done. We knew this, we knew that, and we know that it's gonna get out there, and people are gonna get to see it, and
you know you're going to have a wife and a baby.
And I know I'm gonna have a wife and a baby eventually.
That's right. That's right. Spreading joy and love throughout the universe. And so this is going to be basically your baby project for the next few months, and then get started with the other
make
ones.
sure the release of this goes well, and
Start back.
get on with the next
fall.
ones.
Fantastic.
Start back Path in the fall, early winter, late fall.
Nice. Beautiful.
Followed by Warrior Mage Thief.
Fantastic.
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality fantasy film.
Oh, fantastic. Gentlemen, we're at the end. Thank you for coming and sharing.
Thank you, man.
Thank you,
This is a
guys.
lot of fun.
You know, it's been, I always love to talk film. So it's, when you got a couple guys that just love television, film, everything, it's fantastic. James, I wanted to tell you, how many times you've been told you look like Matt McCoy?
You're the first one.
Really? Matt McCoy, when you see him, you recognize him. And there's another actor, I see him in westerns, and I'm trying to remember his name, but you have the same look, but you look a lot like Matt McCoy. He was in a film, you probably remember it, back in the 80s, Rebecca De Mornay, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
You do a
Matt-
little bit.
that's Matt
You
McCoy.
look a little because he had the beard.
Yeah, he had the beard,
Yeah,
the
he
kind
did
of the
look like that.
structure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at that.
Now I know when people ask.
Yeah.
How are you? Call me
All
Matt. You can go incognito. Gentlemen, again, thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Hey, well, this is Gus Summers, and you've been listening to The In Show. And we had in-studio guests, Mr. James O'Brien and Mr. Louie Sabatasso. And we've been talking about their great film, Western Religion, and you can catch that in Cannes. We can all fly over there on my private jet and invite everyone for dinner. You guys paying?
Sure.
All right, they're paying. Fantastic. And of course, you'll be able to see all that information on their social media. Of course, you can visit us at theinshow.com, where you'll be able to see the link to this interview and catch up on everything else they are doing. Of course, look for us on all those great social media sites: Flickr, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. And of course, as always, ladies and gentlemen, Gus has left the building.